Hello and welcome to Woohoo Podcast. My name is Ramzi Sayed. So this series is about bringing on interesting personalities from our members here, so we get to know a little bit more about their about what they do, their interesting lives. And today I'm like super stoked to have Dr. Pratap Adagitala. Dr. Pratap is one of the leading chiropractors of India. He studied from New York University of Chiropractic Sciences. He's licensed to be practicing in US, Canada, and India. He's also the founder and director of Atlas Chiropractic Wellness and Clinic, and very fast moving. By the way, they've got about 5 clinics across Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai. Dr. Pratap has treated well over 20,000 clients, notably including Prabhudeva, Dulkar Salman, Robin Uthappa. So yeah, super interesting. So Dr. Pratap, for all of us here, like me for example, just tell it to me like a common man. What is chiropractic? What it is that you do?
All right, it's pretty simple. Chiropractic is all about creating freedom for the nervous system. So, if the nervous system is unburdened, if the nervous system is able to perform its job without any restrictions or interference, that's what a chiropractor does. So, by checking the spine and making sure that the spine is in good alignment and the spinal bones are moving well, it takes pressure off the nervous system. The reason why is because the spinal cord lives inside the spine. So, in other words, the major nervous system running from the brain to body is housed within the spine. So, if the spine is not in good shape, it'll affect that signal. Think about it like Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Imagine you had a big brick wall in the middle of between your router and your phone, right? Kind of interferes with the signal, right? So what we do is we basically bring down that brick wall to allow that signal to pass a little bit better. So by aligning your spine, we take pressure off of your nervous system, allowing it to function better. That's it. So the clicks and pops that you're hearing in the spine is us removing restrictions, which then takes interference away from that nervous system.
Oh, okay. So it's like the spine column, and then you have the central nervous.
The spinal cord lives inside that spine. Hey, you know what? Toss me that. I'll show you.
Yeah, let's get that on here.
All right, this is going to make it make more sense.
Okay.
Okay, can you see that? All right. So Ramsey, imagine you have a brain sitting here, okay?
Uh-huh.
And that brain is communicating with the rest of your body.
Okay.
All right. In the middle there, can you see that hole? Right, right in there.
Yeah.
See that hole right there? That's where the spinal cord goes through, and it goes all the way through your spine.
Okay.
You see these little yellow guys?
Uh-huh.
These are like wires. They wire your whole body from signal from your brain. So if that signal can pass through without any interference along the way, everything moves properly, everything digests properly, you sleep better. The nervous system controls your whole body. And so if the nervous system can be improved with small movements of the spine, chiropractic is a very, very, very key component of healthcare.
So it's kind of like, I would imagine, like a telecommunication network. So the brain is sending instructions to all the parts of your body, and
Exactly.
sometimes those get obstructed.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you say adjustment, because I've heard this term a lot, what does
Yes.
that mean?
So, what chiropractic defines an adjustment as is a high velocity, low amplitude thrust. In other words, a quick, short movement to the spine, very specific to moving a particular joint.
Okay.
So, it can be done to areas of the spine, it can be done for the pelvis down here, the sacrum, and any other joint of the body.
So when you say joint of the body, it's because the nerves also pass through these areas, and sometimes the, I don't know, muscles, or they apply pressure on the nerves.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% right there. And sometimes the joints just get restricted, even if it has no bearing on the nervous system, like an elbow, for example.
Okay.
Sometimes an elbow can get misaligned very slightly, which causes interference in its ability to move at the joint level. So if I was able to just unrestrict the joint, it moves a lot better. It has nothing really to do with the nervous system at that moment. It's a mechanical correction.
Uh-huh.
So chiropractors, what we do is we assess every joint that is affected, and we kind of trace it back to its origin. Is it just a mechanical problem, or is there a nervous system issue? And we can decide between the two very quickly.
Oh, so sometimes it's just a mechanical. When I
It
say
can be.
just, I'm sure it's still.
Yeah. You're right. No, but you're
So
right. You're right. Not everything needs to be extremely complicated and confusing. It doesn't have to be.
okay.
Sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to be. So, uh, a physical restriction of a joint is actually the easiest thing a chiropractor can fix.
Got it. I mean, see, I feel there's a lot less awareness in India, especially around chiropractic, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel even awareness around diet or awareness around fitness is just increasing now in the last few years, and
Yes.
chiropractic even more less so. So, how would somebody know that they have an issue or a problem that they need to see a chiropractor about?
So, this is a good question. I get this a lot. A lot of people don't know that they need to see a chiropractor or if they should see a chiropractor. So, ultimately, if you have a spine, you should go see a chiropractor because it's the ultimate maintenance form for your spine. So, it's kind of like you already know you have to take your car for an oil change.
Correct.
Inherently, you know this, and you know that your car needs maintenance. You will take your car into the garage to get it sorted out every so often because otherwise your car stops working properly, right? We don't do the same thing for our spine, and our spine does so much for us, right?
Hmm.
So ultimately, if you've never seen a chiropractor, you don't know if you need to see a chiropractor. That's the best time to go see a chiropractor. And let me preface this by saying somebody who's licensed and accredited. So what you mentioned earlier was very true. India doesn't know a lot about chiropractic, and there are some individuals out there who are taking advantage of this lack of knowledge in the general public. It's a little sad.
Okay.
So it's very important that you go see somebody who is licensed and accredited. There's a lot of like I'll give you an example. In my case, I studied for 3.5 years it's normally a 5 year degree, postgraduate degree. So I have a doctorate of chiropractic from an accredited college internationally.
Okay.
And there's only a handful of schools out there internationally that have this accreditation. So imagine you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're an engineer. Somebody goes on YouTube, watches a couple of videos, and says, "Now I'm an engineer. Now I'm a doctor. Now I'm a lawyer." Or they take a weekend course and they say, and these professions take a really long time to get there.
This is happening?
This is happening.
No way.
This is happening. And the problem is that people don't know enough to not go to these guys.
And how dangerous could it be if you go to somebody who's not licensed?
Well, think about what we talked about, right? Like we are talking about the nervous system. We're talking about the spinal cord. We're talking about the signal from brain to body. It's a matter of life and death, right? So if you're not seeing somebody who's licensed, it could be pretty bad for you in the long run, right? Excuse me. It could just it could be nothing. Like it could be very minute. It could be very minor. It could be just soreness, discomfort, but it can go all the way up to stroke and death.
Holy shit.
Right? So we train extensively about understanding the anatomy of the spine, understanding safety issues, understanding when to and when not to adjust somebody. But a lot of these people are just focusing on the wham bam, thank you, ma'am, that type of thing, the cracks, the noises. They do a weekend seminar. Now I'm a chiropractor too. It's scary out there, man. So I'm glad to have a platform like this. Actually, like when you invited me, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, much required. And I mean, especially if you say things like people are just doing a weekend course. And
And the thing is, the people who are taking these courses, they know that it's not a chiropractic program. They know it's not a real course, but they're just gonna go ahead and call themselves chiropractors anyway. Why? Because it's marketable. Why? Because on the global stage, people are getting better getting chiropractic care. And they're like, well, why can't I cash in on this too? Physiotherapy is a really important part of the healthcare paradigm. Okay, it's a really important key component, I would say. But again, I'm not going to say it for everybody, but many of these people are physiotherapists. And what happens with physiotherapy in India? There's a physiotherapist on every corner.
right.
There's thousands of physiotherapists graduating every single day. How do they differentiate themselves from everybody else? Well, let me take this weekend course and I can be a chiropractor now. Easy way out, right?
It's like an add on.
Well, I just want to. I got to share this story with you, man.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
so I was just like, I'm doing my research. I'm like understanding who else is around, like what other chiropractors are exist in Bangalore. Like when I first started, so I pick up the phone and I noticed that somebody was advertising as chiropractor on their website. So I called them up and I'm like, "Hi, yes, I'd like to speak to your chiropractor." And the person's like, "Well, I'm the chiropractor." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. What's your name, sir?" Like, and he goes, he tells me like, "I'm actually the physiotherapist too." And I'm like, because it's very rare that you can be both a physiotherapist and a chiropractor. Very few people go down both routes.
Okay, so at this point, I want to ask, what is the difference between, because I honestly thought they're the same.
Okay,
Right?
that's a good point. So chiropractic is a primary care physician. Okay,
Okay.
we don't prescribe meds. We don't prescribe. We don't do injections. We don't do surgeries. But we are trained to be a primary care physician. So in like places like rural United States or rural UK,
Mm-hmm.
right, there is a huge need for your rural populations to see a doctor, but there may not be a doctor out there. Chiropractors in these places are the main doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So when people think about what is going on from a medical standpoint to a chiropractic standpoint, the only major difference between a chiropractor and a medical doctor is that we don't prescribe drugs. And the focus of our program is more anatomical. We still do the general diagnosis. We still do the pathology. We still do all the stuff that people have. We know about what people would have. And that's where we differ from where physiotherapy is. Physiotherapists, and again, I'm going to be talking about physiotherapists in India specifically because there's a huge range of physiotherapists in India in terms of their qualifications and their skill sets.
Okay.
In like Canada, US, Australia, physiotherapy and chiropractic is a lot closer. It's a lot more similar because the programs are a lot more different.
Okay.
In India, it's a very basic program in most cases. And the people coming out of those physiotherapy colleges are not very well equipped to handle general diagnosis. So a lot of physiotherapists, they get handed diagnosis and they execute a treatment plan based on what their superior, usually an ortho or something like that, some sort of a medical doctor will recommend care, and then the physiotherapist activates it or executes that plan. Chiropractors can come up with that plan themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The indoctrination of physiotherapy into mainstream medical practice started way back when. And so it's way easier for medical doctors to recommend to physiotherapists than it is for medical doctors to refer to chiropractors.
And why is that?
Because in India, there's no chiropractic college.
Oh, okay.
But in the States, physiotherapy is a much more medical profession than chiropractic because chiropractic is a standalone profession.
So in the States, you're saying that physios prescribe medicines and they
They
don't.
don't. They don't. They don't. But they until recently they just started a DPT program, which is a doctor of physiotherapy. So most physiotherapists make it to masters and they don't really get the doctor title. Chiropractors upon graduation are doctors.
Oh, so they're like proper doctors. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to quickly circle back to my initial question, and I actually want to understand. Um,
I digress a lot. I'm sorry.
no, no, that's all right. No, that's all right. That was a good, that was a good digest. But I want to understand more clearly. At what point do we see a chiropractor? Like, I'll give you an
Oh yeah, good
example.
point.
Like, I had a shoulder tear. Obviously, I had a surgery. But
Yes.
before I went for my surgery, I had I had gym trainers come to me and tell me that, I'll fix your problem. Then I went to an ortho, obviously, who said surgery, and I said no. Then I was also referred to physios, and I was also told go see a chiropractor, and I never saw a chiropractor. But at the end of the day, it was actually surgery because I had like
Yes.
scans and MRI scans, which again
Yes.
and again told me that something's really messed up over there.
Right.
So I very unassuming. I didn't know who to go to.
Yeah.
Similarly, I'm sure a lot of people who come to you, they don't know that they want to see a chiropractor.
Yes.
So when should we begin to think that I need to see a chiropractor and not an ortho, not a physio, not a general doctor?
So I think there's also a lot of mistrust in the medical model nowadays. With um, quotas and like targets at hospitals and things like that. People are more aware of the finance associated with mainstream medicine. Um, since chiropractic care is equipped to be a primary care physician, so we would be able to point you in the right direction. So you come in with a shoulder issue, and I'm like, listen, Ramsey, this shoulder is unstable. Your labral tear is too far gone for me to do anything about. If you want this shoulder to return to normal, or you want to be, you don't want it to dislocate 10 more times between now and next Tuesday, you got to get a surgery done here, because that's going to tighten up the labrum and that's going to keep your arm a little bit more stable, right? So in this situation, seeing us to begin with might have been a good step forward. Now, ultimately, you got surgery, and what we were talking about off camera was just that. Look, man, here's where the journey starts. Now that the surgery's done, everything's all tightened up.
Right.
Now the journey begins. So coming to a chiropractor at this stage, well, at least when the sling comes off, we'd be very, very happy to see how much range of motion do you have? How much is your spine restricted associated with your shoulder immobility? What do you need to do next? And then at least at Atlas, what we do is we have a integrated model where we have physiotherapists as well. We have chiropractors as well. So we share the information about the patient. We decide what best to do. And ultimately, a setup like that is what you're looking for, where you can see multiple people. So we have no issue referring. We have no issues referring to physio or ortho or wherever you need to go. So I know I answered in a very general way earlier, but I kind of touch base on that again. Anybody with a spine can go see a chiropractor at any time. It doesn't revolve around pain. It doesn't revolve around an issue, like a labeled issue. Oh, I have a disc bulge, and so I need to go see a chiropractor. That's also a good reason to go, but you don't need that either. Ultimately, when you look at it from, if you look at it from a general perspective, I would say surgeons in the ER, they save lives. Doctors every day save lives, because somebody's going to die. They're going to put them on a particular medicine, and suddenly they revive, or they're doing the CP, they're doing the life saving stuff where people will stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saving very, very many people's lives. I'm saving people's lifestyles. I'm saving people's livelihoods. Slightly different situation. Somebody can't reach down and pick up their kids because their back hurts all the time. That's a big lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
It's a. I think about that because I had kids, and I'm like, imagine I couldn't reach down and pick them up. That would kill me inside. I know lots of people, housewives, people who are struggling with issues that relate to more than just physical issues. Like it's not just pain. It's abandonment. It's psychology. It's depression. It's anxiety. It's not sleeping well. It's not eating well. There's so many different elements of life that chiropractic can touch because we work on the nervous system.
Oh, okay.
So the answer to your question is not easy,
It's not that.
but it's very simple. If you have any questions about who should see a chiropractor, book an appointment, come visit your chiropractor. The chiropractor will do a full on assessment. They will tell you what you need to know about your spine.
Yeah, so it's quite generic. It's not like, okay, like I have a cold, I go to a general physician. I don't know, different problems, and you know whom to go to. But chiropractic is not really like that. It could be as simple as people might even chalk it up to, like, I'm probably growing old, or it's probably stress at work or something like that.
Yes.
But, maybe, so you're saying chiropractic can also maybe help people with depression or anxiety?
Absolutely.
And how does that happen?
So typically speaking, anxiety and depression are in many cases imbalances of your nervous system. So if somebody is overwhelmed, they're always in fight or flight, they're always, go, 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 go. They may not have really good digestion. It might be constipation. It might be a situation where they have a lot of toxic buildup in their gut and things like that. And they just don't digest their food well, which keeps them awake at night, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a feed forward cycle. It's a vicious cycle. So what chiropractic allows us to do is it allows us to enter the nervous system at the specific points. Like I usually look at it from the neck. Right, the neck is a switchboard for controlling the nervous system. So a lot of the time, people have a lot of stress and strain in their cervical spine, their neck, and by creating movement for their cervical spine, taking restriction away from their cervical spine, it eases their body back to allow that nervous system to level off and allows their rest and digest system to kick in. So we talk about sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, and those always have to balance in order for people to maintain some sort of neutrality with their lives. Chiropractic care is one of the major switches that can help with that. Now, not every person who's depressed is going to go to a chiropractor and immediately recover. It's not like that. but there are solutions to many things with chiropractic care.
Would you say chiropractic treatment, let's call it treatment,
Yeah.
as a long-term treatment that you need to keep visiting a chiropractor, or
I love this question. I love this question because some people say, "Hey, look, I've heard that once I go to the chiropractor, I always have to go to the chiropractor." There's truth to this in the sense that you may want to.
ah,
You may want to because you feel good when you see a chiropractor. Now, I'll give you a little bit of information about myself. I have disc bulges in my lumbar spine. I've played sports most of my life. I've sat in classrooms for many, many years. I travel a lot. You know, I have a 50 kg dog that I walk, 5 kilometers a day. So he tugs quite a bit, all that kind of stuff. So my spine has been through a lot. Chiropractic care has helped me regulate. It's helped me stay active, and I adjust people all day. I'm standing over a bench. I'm looking at people. I'm physically moving people around all day, most of the days. So it's kind of like, how much treatment do I need? So I may not have pain on a regular basis. I may not have discomfort on a regular basis, but I know that if I get adjusted once a week, again, I'm talking about myself. It doesn't have to be everybody. I'm saying for me, if I get adjusted once a week, my own adjustments that I'm performing for my patients get better. My sleep is better. My digestion is better. My energy levels are better. I'm a happier person, which benefits everybody.
mhm.
And ultimately, I feel good about doing what I do. You know, I'm not worried about there being pain. I'm not worried about there being stiffness. I'm not worried about stuff happening to me. I'm taken care of. Not everybody's going to be in that situation. Some people need more care. Some people need less care. And where each person fits in, we can decide.
Mhm.
There's multiple factors here, right? Time. Who has time to come in and see me? People work. So a lot of people are like, I can't, I would like to come see you more often, but I'm working.
Bangalore traffic does not
And
really
Bangalore traffic,
does not help that one bit.
all kinds of things. So the whole thing is, where does it fit into your lifestyle?
Mhm.
So as I mentioned earlier, do you get addicted to it? No, you don't. You get adapted to feeling good. And by getting adjusted, not only does your nervous system benefit, but your whole body benefits because your whole body is controlled by your nervous system. There's an interesting study done by this lady named Dr. Heidi Havoc. She's a chiropractor and she's a researcher. And she did a cohort study, which is a pretty expensive study where they follow people around for a while.
Mhm.
And what she found, and I'm being very generic about what she found, but she found that the group that took chiropractic care had a lot of lifestyle markers that were far better than the other groups, which included just exercise and included sham treatments and other things like that. So chiropractic care was shown to improve things like metabolic markers, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, all kinds of things. Now, it's not a one-to-one. It's not like, okay, you have diabetes, come and get it adjusted, you'll not have diabetes anymore. It's not like that. But the people who continued to see chiropractors, even after their initial issues were gone, stayed healthier. And there's
Wow.
and
So
there's
how often? I'm sorry if I was
it's
cutting you
okay,
off,
no,
but
no problem.
how often would you say that someone needs to see a chiropractor?
All dependent on the individual. Everybody is different. As everybody's fingerprint is different, everybody is different. Now we have protocols. Certain things we would recommend based on research, based on what studies tell us, right? Like disc bulges, for example. It depends on what type of a disc bulge. Depends on how old the person is. Depends on their activity level. Depends on their musculature. So I always use the word it depends. That's the mantra in healthcare, right? It depends.
Would you say the chiropractic or chiro treatment is more of a preventative measure or a reactive measure?
I love prevention, but we can also be reactive, right? So, um, in my practice, especially the people who see me, I would say it's an even split. Some people are coming in with active issues that need care, and some people are just like, "Hey, man, I'll see you next month." I know one person who's a golfer, and he just tears it up on the course. Okay, he's doing really, really well. He's swinging as fluidly as he's ever had. He's hitting the ball further than he ever had, and he comes in once a month, and he's like, "Doc, this is the best thing that I ever did." Because I don't have any issues. I don't have any worry of issues popping up. And he just pops in once in a month.
And if you don't mind sharing, what issues did he have before
Oh, he had a
this?
shoulder issue. So there was some shoulder stiffness. There was a lower back issue. He also suffered from some autoimmune stuff, which created inflammation in random joints. So by getting adjusted once in a while, once in a month, and physiotherapy once in a month, he
Mhm.
just kind of offset it slightly so that he got his muscles worked on with the physiotherapist, he got his joints and nerves worked on with the chiropractor, and he's winning tournaments left, right, and center.
Let's that's fantastic. Well, we'll move on to something fun. So, what would you say is the weirdest or maybe the most interesting case that you've helped solve for someone? Like,
Okay.
what was the issue and what was the result after the treatment?
So I'm going to give you a really. The story is more fun than the actual situation. Okay,
Okay.
so I had a younger guy come in, and he's like, "Look, I need really like my back is hurting, my leg is hurting, I can't move, I can't sit, I can't do much." And I'm like, "Okay, and he came in with an MRI.
Oh,
So
okay.
he brought his MRI in, and sure enough, big fat disc bulge. It was a little bit more serious than I was hoping for because the more developed the disc bulge, the longer the treatment might take.
Mhm.
So anyway, I was walking through the process with him, and so he laid on the table. We adjusted, and I was like, "All right, look, I need to see you again next week." It was a Friday or something. I need to see you again next week. He's like, "That's the thing, doc. I'm not going to be able to come back in." And I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "I'm getting married tomorrow in Tirupati."
Ah, okay.
Okay. So I was like, oh man, I wish you told me that first. So we kind of worked through, and the adjustments were done. I was like, look, best of luck. He's like, I feel a little better.
Mhm.
And like 2, 3 weeks later, this guy comes in, but he doesn't come in alone. He comes in with his wife,
Okay.
his new wife, I guess. And he comes in with his parents. He comes in with his in-laws. So now there's like 6 adults standing there looking at me, and I'm like, oh freak, this is not good. Like I'm like, okay, what's going on? Why is there so many people here? And he's like, Doc, I don't know what magic you did, but I have no pain in my leg. I have no pain in my back. I sat for 6 hours for my wedding. I had no problems afterwards. And everybody just wants to know what you did. So that was probably the coolest and most interesting case that I've had. I mean, there's probably dozens of other ones that I could have said, but I love this one because I don't do magic. Right? I don't have a pointy hat. I don't wave a wand around. But sometimes it happens. When the glove fits, when
Yeah.
the exact solution for the problem presents itself, stuff like this happens. And it happens in chiropractic offices around the world all the time.
It must be pretty fulfilling as a chiropractor to.
I don't wake up and go to work, man. I get up in the morning and I just go help some people out and I come home. That's it.
So, what's the most common thing that people come to you with?
Historically and even now, statistically, chiropractors see low back pain, neck pain, and headaches in that order most frequently.
So, it's mostly around pain.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Back pain is one of the most ubiquitous problems on earth. Most people go to see a doctor for a cold, cough, cold, Second most common visit to a doctor, low back pain around the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, chiropractic care is a really, really, really strong player in taking care of back pain. So, we'll be we won't, I should say this, chiropractors are very essential healthcare um, pillars because back pain is so prevalent.
So, it's more or less like a parallel to regular medicine. The regular medicine is like you said, saves lives, and this saves lifestyle. So you just randomly walk into a chiropractor and say, "Hey, tell me what's wrong with me." Is that how it works?
Can. I mean, most people come in with pain or some sort of an issue, or they were referred by somebody, or they watched a video and they're like, I want to give me a full body adjustment, Like, I just want all the cracks. Crack me like a glow stick. Like, you know what I mean? And it can be warranted in some situations, but not all, right? So the thing is, chasing that crack is literally, it sounds as bad as it sounds. It's an addiction for some people, and they're like chasing that high that I want to feel that good. which, people crack their own neck. You've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about cracking, and I just started cracking my neck, which coincidentally, when we're kids, I mean, parents or even teachers at school, like, hey, don't do that. It's not good for you. So, is that a myth, or how much truth is there to that statement?
I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Like, if you crack your knuckles, what you're doing is that sound you're hearing is like a gas escaping from within the joint. Okay, that gas will refill. It can refill every 20 minutes. Okay, so when your parents or your teachers are saying don't do that, what do they normally say? What are you going to get? You're going to get
Yeah, arthritis. Right,
arthritis.
right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly, exactly. So they're not wrong, but it all depends on frequency. So if I'm doing this every 20 minutes because it can crack every 20 minutes, okay, aren't you overdoing the joint movement? So, like I said, imagine a car, right? Your car door. Just because it's moving well, are you going to go la la la, open and closing your door over and over again? No, you wouldn't do that, right? Just because it's moving well, you wouldn't do that. But if you did do that, it would increase the wear and tear on the car door. Would you agree?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what's happening to your joints if you're going to overdo the frequency.
Got
So
it.
the wear and tear increases, and what happens when the wear and tear increases? It breaks down, degenerates, and that's what arthritis is: the degeneration of joint. So
Ah,
they're not wrong. They're trying to break your habit so that it doesn't become a habit. It doesn't become a more frequent thing. So they're not wrong. There's some ounce of truth to what they're saying, but it's not a one-to-one. It's not like, okay, arthritis is not like that. It's one of those things where if you do it too frequently, it's
so
but
anything in excess is bad for you. So, same thing goes for this.
exactly,
Got it.
exactly.
So, do you see? Is it lifestyle dependent? Do you see people who are active needing less of chiropractic care and people sedentary lifestyle, or maybe I don't know, somebody maybe a laborer who does very hard work would require more
Yeah.
adjustments?
Uh, you know what? This question is so polarizing because it almost feels like a cop out to say that yes, somebody who has worked all day, they need to be adjusted because their joints are really working hard and they're going to get restricted. Somebody who works out a lot, somebody who lifts a lot of weight, their bodies are going to become restricted. And then you think about somebody who sits all day, does nothing, right? Or somebody who sits at a computer all day. Aren't they also stiff and sore? I alluded to housewives earlier, and I'm not going to say this to all housewives because it's not like that. I'm not trying to be, you know,
This is polarizing, right?
I don't want to get into all that. I'm not trying to be like male dominant or anything like that. But for housewives, because I see so many of them, right? It's like, oh, but I'm busy. I'm doing house chores all day long, and I'm like, how long do you do chores for? Like, how long does your housework take? All day, all day. I'm like, do you live in a palace? Does it really take you? No. So we did a little bit of research. We dug into it, and it takes roughly 2 to 3 hours to do all the chores in a house. A regular 2, 3, 4 bedroom house. Okay. What are housewives doing the rest of the day? And a lot of the time, not the rest, not for everybody, please, not for everybody, but a lot of the time, it's sitting, it's talking on the phone, it's playing video games, and it's neck pain, it's back pain. So they also need help. So if you think about that spectrum, somebody who does very little, and I'm not saying that about housewives. Housewives do a lot. Okay, so let me put that out there. Please don't come after me in the comments. But this is one of those situations like, okay, if you're not doing a lot physically and you're doing a lot physically, you can still have issues that a chiropractor can solve. Um, Sitting. They say sitting is the new smoking. Have you heard that before?
I've heard that one. Yeah,
Do you know what it means?
not really.
All right, I'll break it down. I'll break
Because
it down.
sitting is also not good for your health. I think
That's
that's the
the
general.
crux of it. But why do they compare it to smoking? Right? Because in the 50s, 60s, I'm just guessing the era, but like in the 50s and 60s, everybody was smoking. Finally, research came out smoking causes cancer.
Right.
Now, people still smoke, but at the time when that research came out, smoking fell off precipitously. Like so many people stopped smoking and it cratered, right? People still smoke today, but they know the risks.
Mm-hmm.
They know that it's not good for them. They know it's bad for their lungs. They know that it can cause cancer. They're making an informed decision. Sitting is not like this. Okay? Our jobs changed when information technology changed, and suddenly everybody's sitting. We can get our house painted, we can have dinner ordered, we can get a haircut, we can have our dog groomed sitting in this chair without moving a muscle. Okay, just doing this. No. So we don't know what the risks of sitting so much are, and I'll tell you a couple of them. One, if you work out for an hour a day, 60 minutes, and you sit for 8+ hours a day, this negates, this ruins 70% of your workout. So it's like you only worked out for 18 minutes. So some people come in, they're like, oh, I'm active. I work out every day. I do 1 hour of yoga in the morning, and then I go to work, and then I come home. And I'm like, and? Are you doing any stretching? No, I do. That's enough. It's not. You've only done 18 minutes of exercise. Another thing, if you sit 8+ hours a day, it increases your cardiovascular risk of disease up to 87 to 90%.
Holy moly.
So we don't know. Like, this information is just coming out now. So everybody who says, "Oh, I move around regularly," but they still accumulate hours of sitting. Now, a lot of people equate sitting to just sitting at their desk and working. So I'm like, okay, how long does it take you to commute to work? Oh, it takes like an hour and a half. I'm like, oh, do you stand and commute? Well, some people do in buses, but a lot of people are driving or being driven to work. So that's sitting. What about your meals? You're not standing and eating. Most of the time, you're not standing and eating, at least. You're sitting for that. What about your off time? You're going to be sitting for that. You're going to watch TV standing? No, you're going to sit down. So when you accumulate all these hours, and you sleep 8 hours a day, let's say, out of 16 waking hours, how many of those hours are you spending sitting? The human body did not evolve to be on two legs to be sitting. We stood up from walking on all fours because we wanted more range of motion. We wanted to explore further. So now we're living our lives contrary to our evolutionary adaptations.
But we have also evolved, right? I mean, don't you think we have gotten used to this sitting thingy?
How long do you
I
think
want
it
to
takes?
stand up right
How
now.
long do you think it takes to adapt to something like this? So no, I don't think so. To be honest with you, I had a 12-year-old in my office a few months ago with a disc bulge. A 12-year-old. When I was in college, I just graduated. I just passed my graduation day. 13 years out in the practice, and this was like last week. When I was in college, that's just 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? They would tell us about spondylosis, spondylitis. They would talk to us about disc bulges and talk about how degenerative changes of the spine usually normal in your 40s. Normal,
Yeah.
accepted part of life. Now it's an accepted part of life in your 20s because all day, every day, people are looking into their phones, they're looking into their computers, they're hunched over, and unfortunately, evolution hasn't kicked in yet.
That answers my question. Yeah, you're right. I mean, sidetracking here, but I think we've always heard about heart attacks or cardiac arrest at the age of 40, 50, and
Sure.
now, we see news about people in 20s, people going to the gym and getting cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So yeah, evolution hasn't really kicked in.
We lifestyle has changed a lot,
Uh-huh.
but the human anatomy has not changed a lot. And that's where chiropractors come in, right? We put the life back in lifestyle.
Absolutely. So if you could advise people, anyone watching this podcast, maybe top two, top three things that anyone can do,
Yes.
make those changes in their lifestyle
Yes.
for significant improvement,
Yes.
what would those couple of things be?
Okay. They're all kind of hand in glove. They're all kind of very related to each
Right.
other. But the first one is movement. I'm very apt to say motion is lotion. That's not mine, okay? Somebody smarter than me said that first, okay? Motion is lotion, but I've taken it one step further. Movement is improvement. Okay?
That's a good one.
So it's just one of those things like if you are very sedentary, you don't have a lot of movement in your day to day, get up and move around. It's as simple as that. Going for a 30-minute walk every single day is way more beneficial than sitting on the couch and watching another episode of Friends.
I thought that was like a personal attack.
I was coming
I
after
felt
you on
that right. I felt that one.
The second thing that I can say is stay hydrated, because so much of your musculature and so much of your internal workings are based on how much fluid your body will hold on to, your kidneys, your liver, your stomach. Everything is related to water. So make sure you're getting hydrated, right? And that number changes all the time. Some people say, oh, you don't need to drink that much water. Your body will tell you when you need water. Some people are like, oh, you're not drinking enough water, even if you're drinking tons of water. Now, don't overdo it. But most people, and I just recently came to know that um, male and female water requirements are slightly different. So
Yes.
for an average woman, 2.7 liters is required per day. And for men, 3.7 liters. I don't know why the difference. Don't ask me why.
I was about to.
I know. I don't know why. Just a messenger here. But the idea is that you have to take in so much more water than you think you need. And coffee is an it makes you have to drink more
More.
water
Yeah.
because it releases water from your body. So it makes you more dehydrated. It dehydrates you. So we have to, every cup of coffee, you have to have 2 more cups of water.
Mhm.
So it's like that. Like we don't want to play around too much with the like the dynamics of your cell volume and all that stuff. So make sure you're drinking good amounts of water. The third thing that I can recommend for everybody is invest in your strength. Okay,
Woohoo.
I'm not being paid to say this. I promise you this. Okay, but I mean this in every significant way possible. But when we're talking about there's this word that's being kicked around right now. It's called, we always talk about our health and our lifespan, but somebody's merged these two words together to call it a health span. Nobody wants to be 80 years old, frail, and asking everybody to take them everywhere because medical visit, medical visit, medical visit. Nobody wants to be hooked up to generators and tubes in our bodies when we're old age. Like, we don't want to deal with that. How do we fix it? How do we make sure that we don't pass the burden of poor health to our kids, right? And that is invest in strength. Your muscle cells are the only cells that do not have to age linearly. So all the other cells in our body only age one direction. They get older.
Mhm.
Muscle cells have been shown to be able to get younger if we put time and effort into them. Now, as we age, it gets more difficult to put on muscle, right? Again, I'm using very generic stats here, but you can say once you hit 50, it becomes twice as hard to put on muscle as when you were 25.
That's true. Yeah.
And what do most older adults have a problem with in terms of frailty? It's because they don't have enough muscle to do simple things, right? If they fall and they have good musculature, the chance of them breaking a bone are actually less than if they had good muscle.
Mhm.
I don't know if I said that correctly, but
No, you did.
okay. I had thought about that for a second. Wait, okay, but yeah. So as long as you have a good amount, think about it this way: muscles and investing time and effort into your muscles is like the fountain of youth. You don't have to go searching around the earth for it. It's right there. It's in you to lift. It's in you. And now, not everybody has to go to the gym to get strong. Not everybody has to go and pump iron to get strong. Although that's a good way,
Hmm.
right? Body weight,
Body weights.
um, Pilates, swimming. There's a lot of different ways to get strong. And as long as you're committing some degree of your time towards getting stronger, that is one of the best things that I can recommend to anybody for their overall health.
So move, hydrate, and train, essentially. So that helps you have an improved lifestyle for the longer time.
Yeah, I think that those are the three keys for a better health span.
Okay. So I want to ask you something. You started Atlas about 2017, right? In
Yes.
2017.
Yep. Yep.
So what made you? You obviously did not study here. We've
No.
established that. So what made you come back to India when India is such a, I would say, immature market for chiropractors? When you have to come in and spend a lot of time advocating and spreading awareness rather than come and start. I mean, everyone wants to make money at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of responsibility that you have to undergo after coming back here. So what made you make that switch?
So my folks, they moved to Canada. They emigrated to Canada more than 50 years ago. Oh, I think it's close to 50 years. It's not exactly 50. So they've lived in Canada longer than they've lived in India now. So they're more Canadian than they are Indian, even though they were born here.
Oh, okay.
So
And you were born and brought up
I
there?
was born in Canada. I was raised there. I did my undergrad in Canada, and then I took my doctorate in New York, as you mentioned. So while I was in my doctoral level program, there was three options for me. I could have stayed in the States and done something in the States. I could have gone back home, which was the default option, right? Home is Toronto for me, Toronto, Canada. And then while I was in college, I was just kind of like letting my mind wander. Like, what else can I do? I looked at India and I was like, there are only 5 registered chiropractors in the whole country.
And this was,
2010, 2011.
so maybe we're talking about 15,
So you can say, let's say 15
15
years.
years
Like I
ago.
said,
There were
I,
only 5 licensed
yeah,
chiropractors.
exactly. So the way I looked at it, I was like, that's a lot of spines per chiropractor. Like, so it was kind of like a worm that kind of made its way into my mind, and I didn't really do anything about it. So once I graduated, I went back home to Toronto. I practiced there for a couple of years. I did well. I was fine. But another opportunity came up where I would be paid to be here in India, and I could also run a chiropractic practice as according to that contract. It didn't last long. 2 3 months, they fired me. I was made redundant as the economy uh, changed a little bit. So I was faced with an option: come back to Canada
Mm-hmm.
or go back to India and see what I could do. So you know which one I chose.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, it was more of an opportunity thing, right? Could I be that guy? Could I be that guy to put chiropractic on the map, to kind of advocate for it, like you mentioned? Could I educate people about it? Can I do my best to show people what real chiropractic was? At that time, these fake chiropractors, which we talked about earlier, weren't a thing. There was nobody like that. Now it's a lot more of a problem. But back then, I was just looking at it like, can I do more and more and more? Can I see more people? Can I influence healthcare slightly? And could I make a mark in a larger way? Basically, for me, it was a situation of, do I do what everybody does, or do I do something unique, something on my own terms? That's what I chose.
That's great, and that's fantastic. Today, you're also the vice president of Indian Council of Chiropractic Doctors, right?
Yeah, the Indian Association of Chiropractic Doctors is the regulatory authority for chiropractors in India. We maintain a registry for all the legitimate chiropractors, and there's a website, there's a map that you can see who's real. So if anybody needs to know who's a legitimate chiropractor, who's not a legitimate, if they don't show up on that site, they're not a real chiropractor. Simple and plain.
So that's for someone who knows that such a registry is there.
Exactly.
But is the government doing something about cracking down on that? Because, like I said, if you're dealing with a spine, you're not licensed or you're not knowledgeable enough. You could end up permanently damaging someone.
Legislation is tough right now. Legislation is, we need a bigger body of people to be represented, in other words. So us having so few chiropractors, I think the total number of chiropractors in India right now is 15.
That's it, from 5 to 15.
Yeah. And 5 of them work with Atlas.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you still have a chiropractic college in India, or do you
There
still
are none. There are none. There was some MOUs and things like that that were discussed in various colleges. At this point, there hasn't been any ground broken on a brand new college that actually gives people the doctorate of chiropractic.
Mhm.
Now, remember, I'm looking at accredited programs, which allows people to go and practice anywhere they like, as accreditation confers this particular degree. In other words, it's kind of a hierarchy. So there's the World Health Organization, then there's the World Federation of Chiropractic. So
Okay.
the World Health Organization recognizes the World Federation of Chiropractic, and the IACD, Indian Association of Chiropractic Doctors, is recognized by the World Federation of Chiropractic. It's given power to say, yes, you can regulate chiropractic in India.
Mhm.
At least hold up the standard. At least talk about best practices. At least shine the light, so to speak, with our go ahead. The whole thing about the accreditation is that it has to come from a larger authority, which is internationally governed.
Mhm.
there are rules, man. Like, just because I cut meat doesn't make me a surgeon, right? So that's the thing. That's what everybody goes by. Actually, I was talking to you about this guy that I was speaking to on the phone earlier. I don't know. I didn't finish my story. I'm
Oh yeah,
glad we.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm saying, hey, look, man, it says you're a physiotherapist. He's like, no, I'm also the chiropractor. I'm like, but it says you're a physiotherapist. And he said, sir, when you know A, B, and C, learning D is no problem. AKA, I can do a weekend course on chiropractic and I can be just as good as
He
you
said this verbatim.
on the phone. And
Did
I
you tell
said,
him you're the vice president of the Indian
well,
Association?
at that time I wasn't, but it was one of those things that I was just like, holy shit, you know, like, are you serious right now? So you think about this, okay? You put your blood, sweat, and tears into something. You're crafting this from your soul, where you're spending day and night in the lab, in the classroom, learning the anatomy, learning the physicality, learning where to place your hands on the spine, learning all the different things that needs to be applied to moving this spine safely, properly, specifically. It takes you 3.5 years to 5 years to graduate with this doctorate. You know, you got a tassel and a hat and all that stuff. You walk across the stage, you have this piece of paper that says you're a doctor. Somebody does a weekend course and says, I'm the same as you now. You gotta be shitting me, man. So that's it's kind of a burn for me in that way. It's not the same thing. Why do people opt to go to Manipal or somebody, and then they look up and down the list of doctors that they can see, and they're like, I want to see the most senior doctor you have. Why do people do that? Experience.
Right.
And when I graduated, I wasn't even that good. I'm much better now because I've been kicking ass for 12 years, 13 years now. But the idea is that I've been at it. I got better and better and better at it. I didn't take a weekend course and say, now I'm something else. So it's all about practice. That's chiropractic means practice of the hands.
Of the hands. So,
Chiro meaning hands,
oh,
practic meaning
oh, okay. That's news to
practice.
me.
So chiropractic. So that's what we do. Okay. And if you practice something, you get better at it. That's all it is. So from day one of our program, the chiropractic college, we're learning how to use our hands. So it's a it's a crafting process. It's sculpting. We're getting sculpted to be amazing doctors.
For sure. And while we are on safety, Dr. Pratap, I want to ask, how safe is chiropractic? I mean, is there like a minimum age? Is there a maximum age of people that can visit a chiropractor?
There's no minimum age, there's no maximum age. Every chiropractor should do a full on assessment on whoever they're adjusting in order to assess the severity of the issue as well as whether it's safe to do an adjustment. Like, one of the things that I don't adjust on is something called osteoporosis, which is a very weakened bone situation. If a bone is very brittle, and it doesn't make sense to put pressure on it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So osteoporosis is just something that I don't work on. But my kids, for example, were both adjusted within maybe an hour of them being born,
Oh, yeah?
because that's what I do. I put my hands on spines and I understand what the nervous system is doing. So me adjusting an infant is not the same thing as adjusting a full-on 36-year-old, right? It's not the same thing. We have nuance within our skill set. The chiropractor can have any one or any number of 200 plus techniques, and that's all within the chiropractic profession. So we, on our staff in Atlas, we have a pediatric certified chiropractor who's taken extra coursework in maternity, pre-maternity, post-maternity, infantile adjusting, pediatric adjusting. So it doesn't have to have an issue of like, is this person qualified? Do they have to have a certain age? Do they have to have a certain skeletal maturity in order to be adjusted? No, it's not. It's not required, because we adapt our technique to the spine in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that answered your question.
That did.
Yeah, and from a safety standpoint, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Things get radicalized. You know, oh, chiropractor causes stroke, person dies. Right. I'll tell you some very interesting stats since you asked. The data sways a little bit. It goes anywhere from 1 in 6 million to 1 in 12 million adjustments may cause some sort of issue. To put this into perspective, you have a 90 times more likely chance to get bitten by a monkey on the street here in India than get injured by a chiropractor. 90 times more likely.
Really?
You have 150 times more chance of getting hit by a falling coconut than getting injured by a chiropractor. And this is the biggest doozy of all. You are over 2,000 times more likely to have the wrong limb operated on in a surgical theater here in India than getting injured by a chiropractic adjustment, just so you know. But that is provided you go to see an accredited licensed chiropractor.
No, absolutely. And I can vouch for that because when I I was going into surgery, right? And
do they ask you which arm am I doing?
5 times. And the last time was, and in true the office style, they marked a black arrow here. I mean, on this hand. I said, why is that? Not so nobody gets confused. I was like, what do you mean? And at the time when they were giving me local anesthesia, right? And I was about to go and said, is that anesthesia? And they're like, yes. And they're like, which hand, which hand? And that is the last thing I remember before passing out, And
God.
so yeah, I mean, so that's that. But I was later and before also told we ask again and again. It's a procedure. It's not because we've forgotten. So when you said that, I kind of,
Can you imagine? Now, I know there's a lot of orthos out there who are just like, no, no, no. But it's the facts. 1 in 222 surgeries are operating the wrong arm, wrong leg.
I think a lot of knowledge that we get is from Instagram.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of. I
Damn.
think we were discussing that right now. We see a lot of those videos. The most funniest one being the rotisserie man, and then you have those things, all the cracks and cracks.
It makes my heart ache, man.
So I mean, those are not legit. Is that not what's supposed to be happening in chiropractic?
guys, like I've done. I'm not. I won't say that I'm a very prolific video uploader or anything like that, but just go and have a look and see what we do in our office, and just compare to what you see out there. Does it look the same? No way. Not at all. That rotisserie man that you call it, like that was like it's clickbait, man. It's people doing ridiculous, stupid shit and calling it chiropractic and be like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I want that. Like, you know how many people forwarded me that video and said, do you do this? Like, no, we don't. I don't even know what that is. I have no clue. You'll see people with the spike and the hammer and the hammering things.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. The balloon thing, we weren't taught that in college. I don't think that's a real thing.
Okay.
So
I was considering getting the balloon thing for better breathing. I mean, you can't blame us, right? We see all of this,
and you're right, man. It just goes back to education. It goes back to like the whole misinformation and a lot of people have chiropractor in their name, on their handle on Instagram. So
yes, I do.
well, he said he's a chiropractor. He's got to be a chiropractor, right? Watch this. Okay, you ready? Watch this. Check this out. Hi, Dr. Pratap. I'm a surgeon.
Right.
Doesn't make it true. So it's just one of those things. You're absolutely right. The people consuming from these people can't be blamed. They were lured in. They were tricked. The people who are tricking these people should look in the mirror and be like, is it okay that I'm a criminal? Is it okay that I'm lying to these people en masse? It's just that lack of consciousness. It bothers me a lot.
But you see a lot of those same people giving a review. I don't know if it's paid or not, but I'm seeing it online. They're like, yeah, I feel so much better, and so on and so forth.
Spinal manipulation has been practiced for hundreds of years, even before chiropractic was created.
Right.
Okay, there's lots of different cultures that subscribe to it. You've seen bone setters. You've seen, tribal medicine and other things that it exists. Okay, and chiropractic does not have a monopoly on spinal manipulation. I know a lot of my colleagues are like, "Oh, look at this! They're promoting this and this and that." I'm like, they in no way, they're not calling themselves chiropractors. They're not saying the word chiropractic. It's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they're doing spinal manipulation, let them live. It's fine. They're helping people, right? I'm not saying that spinal manipulation is dangerous at large, but if you're talking about calling yourself a chiropractor and saying that you have a particular amount of knowledge amassed over years, that's dangerous, right? So I'll give you an example. I'm not going to use any names to protect somebody, but there is a person who's a very popular Instagram personality who came to Bangalore and did a health camp. Okay? Again, no names. They came and did a health camp.
Okay.
I was very curious and I visited. Okay, I was very upset that this person was here because they are, I know for a fact they're not a chiropractor, or at least not a classically trained chiropractor, not an accredited college chiropractor. They're not chiropractors. But they practice spinal manipulation and other manipulations, folk medicine, okay? And I went there with like a grudge. I was like upset about it. And when I saw the number of people that were in there, and I'm not talking about, people in suits and BMWs. I'm saying farmers. I'm saying disabled children were being carried through. There's a dog there with a disabled hip. And somebody had brought this dog there with the hope that this person could heal them. Now, this person was charging a bomb. It wasn't charity by any means. They're charging 3 times more than me that I charge in my office. Not a chiropractor, mind you, but charging for chiropractic care 3 times what I would charge. But one thing that softened me in this whole thing was that people were there with hope that this guy could help them. So who am I to stand in the way of that? Just where I draw the line is don't call yourself a chiropractor. I watched this guy work. None of what he did is anything that I would do. Sure, he was getting the clicks and pops out of people's bodies in various places in multiple ways.
So would you say that's a gimmick?
I'll tell you something, Ramsey. He adjusted my wrist as a demo once they found out that I was also a chiropractor. And this is the part that's very controversial, okay? On the video, you can hear the clicks. Pop, 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 pop. I didn't feel anything moving. Now, I'm in a very tight spot here, okay? I'm an anatomist, right? Like I know the human body inside and out. I'm a joint specialist. I know how the joints move. How could I not explain these pop sounds and not feel the movement in my hands? I was confused. It actually raised more questions than I had answers for. So I haven't talked about it at all until this time.
You said interestingly sound on video, but did you hear anything?
You can hear it. Clear as day, you can hear it. But the weird thing was, I didn't hear it coming out of my wrist.
Okay.
So again, I can't definitively say this is a trick, a parlor trick. I can't definitively say that this person is defrauding people or making some big charlatan act. So again, if people get better from something that somebody does, great. I know I'm not going to dive into all of this, but spirituality is a big thing in India, right? How many people go to a particular temple in a particular corner of India because of the certain power that temple has, or a Baba has certain power and they go there. It's out of belief, right? It's out of belief. Now, here's an interesting thing. India started with the whole idea of we don't need medicine to get better. Look at Ayurveda. Isn't that what that is? We don't need medicine to get better. We have everything we need. The body can heal itself, right? But once Western medicine entered into the fray and people made money hand over fist, it changed everything. Suddenly, Ayurveda was nonsense. Homeopathy was nonsense. Naturopathy was nonsense. Only thing that worked was medical. But why? Why did we go so far away from our root?
Hannah?
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe we didn't stop believing, maybe? Or capitalism.
I have my personal beliefs on this. I think it had a lot to do with money, but who knows?
Yeah, capitalism could be. So, we spoke about pricing, and this is for me and for anyone watching this. Is chiropractic treatment expensive?
I mean, like we talked about Moneyball, you can go to the senior most guy in Moneyball, and it's not going to cost as much as it costs us to go see a chiropractor. That's for sure. I think it's relative, to be honest with you. Like the costs associated with maintenance is cheaper than a cure, right? For example, I have disc bulges. If I didn't maintain it, I didn't get regular periodic chiropractic care, I didn't do my exercise, I didn't get the inputs I needed to keep my spine moving well and my nervous system functioning well, I would slide down a very steep slope where maybe surgery was required. And you know about surgery, once you do surgery, it doesn't go back to the original status. You never go back to normal. In your situation, it's a different story,
Okay.
right? Where your joint is not sitting properly in your socket, and now you have to tighten the socket in order for the joint to not be as fragile and loose. It's a different story. It's two different types of things. But what I'm trying to say is, what people don't tell you, and this kind of relates to your situation, what they don't tell you, your rehab part is going to stretch out in front of you now.
Right.
Which they probably didn't talk about before you got surgery. They probably said, oh yeah, you have to do some exercises or whatever, but they didn't tell you how long it was going to take, right? A lot of people think that, okay, it's expensive right now, so therefore I can't afford it and I can't do, and therefore I have to live with, and blah, blah, blah. I had one guy tell me, listen, if it came down to me putting food on the table for my kids or take treatment, I would put the food on the table for my kids. And I said, great. For how long? How long before your pain prevents you from going to work anymore? How long before your job says, look, you're a bit of a liability now. We can't keep paying you for doing nothing. We can't have you working from home anymore. Sorry, but you're going to have to find another job. Now what are you going to do? Who's going to put the food on the table now?
I mean, surely it can't be drastic all the time. Or have you? You would have probably seen more cases than I would have.
It's just one of those things, like, it's relative. Now, if you go to Moneyball, sorry, I shouldn't use Moneyball. You can bleep it out, right? You go to a big hospital, you go to the senior most doctor. How much time are they really spending with you? How much information are they getting from you before they scribble on their pad and said, hey, go take this to the pharmacy and take your medicine and go home? How many times are you going to go to the shoulder guy and say, look, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Yeah, okay, go home, just do some yoga, you'll be fine. How many times does that happen? When are we actually going to say, all right, there's somebody who's going to be taking care of this now, who's an expert in this particular field and can resolve my issues? And that's where it comes. Yeah, so is it expensive relative to the 2-minute session that you have with the top skin specialist in a big hospital? Yeah, it is, a little bit. But in the long run, if I was to look back at it and say, okay, you have a disc bulge, you didn't get it treated when you needed to, now you need surgery, now you're going to be on disability, now it's recovery, now you have to do physiotherapy anyway, and you've spent all this money already? I don't know how much a surgery costs now, but I'm going to guess in the lakhs. Okay, now people are going to say, okay, but I have insurance for that. Yeah, but you still have a deductible. How much is that? And then all the time off that you have to spend recovering from your surgery. Don't forget that you had a piece of your spine chopped out,
Right.
which will never grow back, right? There's no such thing as a spine transplant. You only get one. Take care of it now. This goes into the muscle thing that we were talking about earlier. When you're spending time and effort building muscle, it's to save your older adulthood from being frail, from being sick, right? I've been saying this to a lot of people nowadays. It's like the best thing that you can give your kids, if you have kids, the best thing you can give your kids is a clean bill of health, right? Imagine you're doing everything you can. People tell me this all the time. Oh, I can't. I have to take my kids to this. I have to do this for my kids. I have to do this for my kids. Yeah, at what cost? Now you're not paying attention to your own health. I'm sorry. Now you're not paying attention to your own health, which will only lead into your older adulthood. Now your kid is 35 and now they have to take you to all your appointments. They have to make sure that you've taken your medicines. They have to make sure you don't fall down in the shower. It doesn't make sense. So I'm saying prevention is way better than a cure. And maintenance of injury and taking care of injuries ahead of time is going to save you a lot more money than what it costs now.
In the long run. Nice. Another question that I had was, does this work on animals too? Because again, we've all seen the.
Yeah.
And are you licensed to practice on animals as well?
So we don't actually have a module in our curriculum that says yes, you can treat animals. There's an actual separate coursework for animal chiropractic. I have a dog. I know about his anatomy. The anatomy of a dog is a lot different than a human being.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
So I don't try to do anything risky, or I don't try to do anything too fancy with him.
So
But
anyone in and around Bangalore, for example, wants to maybe get the cat or the dog, I don't know, a horse or something.
we don't have anybody who's licensed. We had one earlier, but he's no longer here in India. So uh, I do a little bit of glides with my dog's hip because he's getting up there. He's about 8 years old now, so his hip is starting to get a little wonky. So I do a little bit of massage work, a little bit of mobility stuff for him, and he responds really nicely to it. I've worked on a couple of friends' dogs, but I don't advertise that, hey, I can take care of animals. I won't do what that guy in Germany does.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's a good question.
Are we done? There was something else that I had. Wait, don't stop. So, would you think that the medicinal world is sometimes at odds with the science of chiropractic? And I ask you this because, again, in the same content that I see online, I'm
Yes.
usually a comment people, right? And
Yeah,
I go
yeah, yeah.
into there, and a lot of people are like, "I'm a doctor, and this is not right. Chiropractic is not medicine,"
Yeah.
and a bunch of negative things about your profession. So,
I mean, when we're talking about ancient history, the American Medical Association had attempted to squash chiropractic out of existence.
okay.
There was an antitrust trial that ended up being ruled in chiropractic's favor. So if that trial never happened, there may not be chiropractors today. So that anti-chiropractic sentiment is there out there, especially in the medical community, because we don't prescribe 0.25 mg of a particular substance which causes X effect.
Oh, so it's all big pharma lobbying. Is that what you
I don't
think?
want to say it that way, but it's just one of those things like there's a scientific model, and the scientific model needs to be replicable. In other words, it needs to be able to be replicated often, and it needs to be measurable. Now, you and I are different sizes, right? And if you and I had the same patient in the same room and we assessed the same patient, we came to the same conclusion that this is what needs to be adjusted to this patient, our adjustments would differ just a little bit. So, how is that scientific? Right? That's the argument, right? They're saying that, okay, and maybe some of the models that were used to explain chiropractic initially were kind of nonsense. There used to be something that, oh, there's a bone that moved out of place and that's what we need to replace and stuff like that's nonsense. Um, there's a lot of like old stuff that people still use today that tries to explain what chiropractic does. It doesn't actually fit with what science is telling us. Okay, so there is that, and unfortunately, chiropractic around the world has not really been a very believable science in many eyes. Like I know, and again, it's all about belief, right? So some patients swear by certain methods where you may look at that particular technique and be like, "There's no way that could work," you know. So I understand where the criticism could come from a medical standpoint, but again, like I said, we're not medical doctors, so we don't need their approval in the sense that what we do works. It's worked for over 125 years already.
Right. So it's a parallel. You don't answer to the same authority. You're not under the same wing, basically. So,
So I kind of want to say it this way: like we're not alternative medicine.
uh-huh.
There's a lot of jargon that says we're complementary and alternative medicine. I like to use the thinking process of we're an alternative to medicine. You know what I mean? So people come in like, oh, should I take this medicine? And I'm like, look, I don't recommend medicine at all. Like I'm not here to advise you on your medicines. If you choose to take your medicine, that's your choice. But it's out of my scope. So I stay in my lane.
And probably they should stay in theirs.
I didn't go that
I wanted to get some kind of controversial thing out of him, but no. So I guess probably the key takeaways that I would get from here is our top three, that is move, you hydrate, and you train. And if you feel that you have a problem, you should probably go check out a chiropractor.
I'd say also, if you're just curious about whether you need to see a chiropractor, go see a chiropractor, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's worth finding out. It's worth understanding a little bit. You might learn something about your body that you never expected, and it might lead to you feeling your best. I'll tell you something. When I got adjusted, my first ever adjustment was in college. I'd never gone to a chiropractor before I decided that I wanted to become a chiropractor. Imagine that.
Okay.
So my first ever adjustment was done by a chiropractic intern at my college who was a senior in the program. So when she adjusted me, I floated down the hallway, and my friend was walking the opposite way, and she was like, "Are you okay?"
Ah,
And my answer to her was, "I've never been better." And that was actually the truth, because at that point, I'd never had my spine adjusted. I'd never had my nervous system optimized. So I was just feeling that good. I can remember that exact feeling today. And it's amazing. It's just amazing. So that was the day that I realized, like, I get to do this the rest of my life. Not bad. It's a good choice.
nice, man. I have so many questions still, and a lot of curiosity around the topic. I would love to pick your brain another time.
Anytime. Always
But
welcome.
thanks for being here, man. Thank you very much.
Anytime, anytime.
And anyone wants to give it a shot, his clinic is just down the road in Indranagar.
So I
Right.
practice at my Indranagar center 3 times a week. We also have another center in HSR. Our Whitefield center, we're moving to another
Oh,
location.
nice.
Chennai is open, and our Hyderabad location is also being relocated. So
Fantastic.
we have a little bit of modifications going on within our operations, but it's going to happen. We're going to be bringing chiropractic care to more communities.
Lovely. And for sure, people need to visit somebody who's licensed. And who better to go than the man himself,
I mean, stay
Dr.
tuned.
Pratap.
What I'll do is I'll share a carousel of all of the licensed chiropractors within India,
Mhm.
and that should be our go-to. Save it, share it with your friends who are seeing a chiropractor. You know, like
And for sure, not one of those gimmicky folks, right? With all the pops and bangs. And
look,
that's probably the most important takeaway from here, right?
yeah, we're not all created equal. You know,
Right. Anyone has any questions about chiropractic, you can drop it in the comments wherever you see this, and Dr. Pratap will do his best to get to all of them.
absolutely, you got me, and it's been a pleasure working with you guys. My time here at Woohoo has been amazing. I started here when it first started. My major the reasons why I was here is that it was new, it was clean. They spent a lot of time taking care of hygiene. You know, the equipment is all from really, really high end brands. There's a ton of recovery options. That was another big thing for me being a chiropractor. There's a ton of recovery options ready to go. My question was, do I have to pay extra for these recovery options? They're like, no, it's included in your
No, not
membership,
at all. Yeah.
which is so cool. You know, so the people here have been amazing. You guys have all been really, really supportive every step of the way. Like, I'm just getting back into my fitness routine. Like, it's been a while, but you guys have all been so supportive. It's just been a really nice feeling just getting back out there. I know I made a good choice. It's been a great community to be a part of, and I look forward
Oh,
to
we're happy to have
continuing.
you.
Yeah,
Happy
well,
to
it's
have
been a
you.
pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap.